Good evening. Welcome to the February 5th Pitt County Board of Commissioners meeting. We're happy to have you with us tonight. I'll call this meeting to order and we will move forward with roll call. Okay, everybody's here. If you would, stand with me, and Commissioner White is going to do our invocation.
Dear Lord, thank you for blessing us with another day, and I pray that you be with everyone here tonight, everyone listening in, and be with everyone in Pitt County. Please be with this board and let us to listen, understand, and make the decisions tonight that will be in the best interest of everyone in Pitt County. Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing, and I'm going to ask Jacayla Shackelford to come to the podium and tell us about yourself and lead us in the pledge.
Hi, my name is Jacayla Shackelford. I am a junior at D.H. Conley High School. I am currently the junior vice president in the SGA, Student Government Association. I am also in the International Thespians Honor Society, Health Science Academy, and Future Business Leaders of America. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If you would, please vote. Thank you. And we will move to the public addresses to the board.
Mr. Chair, we have several signed up to speak. If you'll start with the attorney reading a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pitt County welcomes all comments on matters of public concern. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. A total of 30 minutes is set aside for public addresses to the board. Please state your name and address prior to speaking.
First person is John Romeo.
My name is John Romeo. I'm a farmer. I'm here. Okay, my concern is about the town of the market. Okay, I'm a farmer. Okay, I have concern over the market during a week, 6 hours a week. It's not enough time to sell vegetables a week. We pick vegetables during the month of the spring and summer. There's a lot of vegetables and produce that's growing during this time. And we pick these vegetables daily so we could get it to the market. Our customers don't like vegetables that's picked 2 or 3 days. They like it fresh and they like it picked daily. That's it. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure the first name, last name is Romeo again.
Hello, my name is Eileen Romeo, and that was my husband, John, that just walked away. My concerns today are about the veterans and the special needs, the customers that come into the market. They like to come on off days. They don't like a crowd. A lot of people can't take the crowd. A lot of them have service animals, and they always thank me for being there because we always show up. We show up whenever the market opens. They thank us for being there and letting them come in and shop during the off days. And 1 day a week is not enough to sell vegetables because the vegetables start getting old and they get big, and everybody like their stuff fresh and small. They don't like them when they've been in the refrigerator and stuff like that. So during the peak season, like spring and summer, we need more than one market day. And I'm sorry, I feel real nervous. We need more than one market day during the peak season. And once October hits, the market slows down dramatically. So I feel like if we take And if we use more than one market day during the peak seasons when a lot of vegetables are coming off, and then we go back down to one market day, like with a season between October to March, it would kind of compromise and be what everybody needs. Because during the, once school starts back, it does slow down a lot. But when vegetables are coming off real strong, we need more time to sell vegetables.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo.
Herb McGrail.
Good evening. My name is Herb McGrail. I live 121 Harold Street over in Cherry Oaks. I've been going to the farmer's market pretty much 20 years as long as I've lived in Pitt County. A lot of opportunity for us as customers to go in. That 3 years ago, I actually became a vendor as an artisan. I do appreciate the board listening to the concerns of us at the farmer's market, especially as vendors. We hope you would actually really think about what we have to offer the county and what the county has actually utilized and enjoyed from the farmer's market being open all these years. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Wendy Stallings.
Hello, my name is Wendy Stallings. I live on Mills Road in Greenville. I too am a vendor at the market. I'm a hybrid. I started selling eggs and honey because this is like my plan B when I retire in 2 years, plan to do produce. But we started having a year-round market, so I came up with something that I could do during the off-season to also support the market. I do very much support the expansion of the executive committee to 7 members, as this would give us a little bit more of a representative slice of the different, very varied vendors that we do have there now. As someone who does sell produce at the market, I do have a concern with degradation and loss of nutritional value of vegetables being held for a week. Anybody that's ever had a garden, you pick it when it's ripe, and it does not last very long. Those of us who are smaller producers, I have a refrigerator. Someone who's doing a lot of vegetables might have a cooler, but you're only going to buy a couple of 3 days. In the medical profession, which I'm in, I am concerned you lose massive amounts, up to over 50% of your water-soluble vitamins within 3 days of something being picked, and that's with refrigeration. 6 hours on a Saturday is not going to allow people who are producing a lot of vegetables the opportunity to actually sell their products, so they're going to have massive losses. At that point, they're going to look for somewhere else to be. And I am very concerned that it's going to be a negative and cause a loss of produce vendors at the market. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Patricia Shigas.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The Leroy James Farmers, Patricia Shagus, 2583 Ivy Road, Greenville. Sorry about that. The Leroy James Farmers Market has been going on for 29 years. In the beginning of the market, it was open 5 days. The past 4 years, we have had year-round markets and 7 months of Fridays. In the past 6 years, we have lost 4 days. This hurts the farmers and the vendors. We appreciated the last week of meeting with Janice Gallagher with a couple of the other vendors, and we began for us to hear her. Sorry, I'm not good at this. We met with her, and she heard our concerns about the market, what's going on. At the end, we all agreed that Janice will have 3 months to work on the market, and we'll see from there how it's come along. We did try to have a meeting with James and PJ to come to an understanding on what was taking place at the market, but we were denied. We are grateful that the county has decided to bring back year-round markets on Saturdays, but it's not open market on Friday. This is unfair to our community members, some being elderly and low-income residents who need to buy healthy produce. The past couple of years, we've had grants offering double bucks program for EBT and SNAP recipients, which allowed double amount of produce. Yet, many of these customers cannot get to the market on a Saturday as the Greenville buses do not run on a weekend. We also have to be mindful of the community members that observe the Sabbath. Friday market vendors work together to help each other out at the market. I am sorry that this had to come to this. I appreciate your time, and hopefully you take into consideration the members of the vendors at the market and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Michelle Grazios.
Hello, my name is Michelle Graziosi. I live at 1075 Davenport Place, Winterville. I also am here to speak on behalf of the hours at the farmers market. I've been going there almost as long as the farmers market has existed. My daughter, who is now 26, was there. I'd take her there as a toddler, and the farmers were really nice, would give us vegetables, let her try some before I bought them. She really learned to love vegetables. And therefore, one day when I went to Golden Corral with a friend of mine, she was surprised, but I was not when I got her lunch. She said she wanted ice cream. I got her ice cream, and she said, I want broccoli, because she had learned that it was just as much as a treat to eat fruits and vegetables as it is to have candy and ice cream. If the hours back then were limited to just Saturday, I couldn't have taken her. That was family time with my husband and other family members. And my son, took him years later. Someone was there, I don't know, I think maybe a student at ECU, and they had healthy recipes, and one was mac and cheese with kale mixed in, and we tried some, bought some kale. That's how we had our mac and cheese from then on. And so it not only benefits the farmers, but at this time when we have a problem with obesity, kids who don't want to eat vegetables, they go to the school lunch and it ends up in the trash. The farmers market is invaluable to the health of our young kids, and I really hope you consider their need for the hours. And look at things like, up to a few months ago, Jim Howard on WITN talking about drought, then flooding rains. Back in April, there was a hailstorm that destroyed a farmhouse near me. Farmers talked to me about the loss of their crops. Do we really want to put more on them by limiting their hours at the farmers market? I've loved having them open in the winter. I buy gifts for family. I buy treats for holiday dinners and gatherings with family. So I really hope you consider their wishes and increase the hours to the farmers market. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Then I have Latarsha Jones. I wasn't sure. Latarsha? Okay, terrific. You had signed up because you're later in the agenda. Thank you. That's all that I have.
Okay. We will move on to presentations.
All
Employee
right.
of the month.
And while we're going down, if the board would approve the resolution honoring LaChauncey State.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If you would please vote.
And then LaTarsha would come forward, please. Fabulous. You can have you stand right on the black spot. All right, Mr. Chairman, and those present with us this evening, I am thrilled to present this month's Employee of the Month certificate to Latarsha Jones. This is a wonderful program where we recognize employees who model our mission, vision, values, and goals. Each month, this is a program where peers are nominated by their peers and then selected by their peers for this recognition. This time, though, I have to say, and it's a little bit different, I am always inspired by our Employees of the Month, but Latarsha this month inspired me even more than the rest. Let me tell you a little bit about LaTarsha. She has been an employee of the tax office. She's a personal property manager for tax administration. Her nomination said that she was selected for her positive attitude and great customer service. Her nominator said that she goes above and beyond to not only help taxpayers resolve their issues, but follows it up with inspirational words of encouragement and appreciation. Citizens have called or emailed and consistently acknowledged the wonderful service and treatment they receive from LaTarsha. She's a team player and delights in helping everyone around her. Then LaTarsha shared with me a couple of things that were hanging on the wall of her office that just really inspired me. And LaTarsha, not only is she an amazing tax administrator staff, she has summed up her thoughts on customer service in a poem that she wrote and has hanging on her wall that looks something like this. And if she'll allow, I'll read it. It says, I am LaTarsha, and I don't know the whole story of my customer that sits in front of me, but I do know the story that they will tell once they leave. They would say, I came with 100 issues today and left with peace of mind. Because of the one issue that was resolved by my tax representative, I now have hope for the remaining 99. I was once told to keep in mind that I'm just a step away from the other side of the desk. So I value each encounter with my customers and treat them as my guest.
Janice, I think she has some, don't you have some family members and friends? I think maybe it would be nice if we'd invite them to come up.
I would love that. If the family members and friends would come forward, I'm going to read the next poem that she's written, if Mr. Chair will indulge me. And it says, and then I'll do introductions of the family. It says, Pitt County's Open Door, written by LaTarsha Ann. Whether you are poor or you have plenty of wealth, whether you are sick or in the best of health, North Carolina makes sure taxes are equitable and fair. Therefore, everyone in this state are expected to pay their fair share. We are 100 counties strong, with this county striving to be the best. By establishing authenticity, public service, we ensure unison and warrant success. We are open for communication to better engage each and every citizen. We consider education, community safety, and economic development very significant. Pitt County's vision, mission, purpose, and values are also yours. We will always have a light on for you and an open door. And so, I couldn't be prouder of LaTarsha, her mindset, the model she sets for this entire workforce, and her emphasis on customer service. And I just wanted to share that with the group because I thought it was so incredibly cool. With that, we have a certificate for LaTarsha that reads, Certificate of Recognition for Employee of the Month, January 2024, presented to LaTarsha Jones, Tax Administration, in recognition of your dedication and exemplary service to Pitt County government and the citizens we serve, along with a $100 check. Mr. Chairman. And if you will introduce your family.
This is my mother, Hattie Haddock. My father, Fred Haddock. This is my granddaughter, Naya Curtis, and my other granddaughter, Adana Dad.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your daughter and grandmother with us. Family will come up and get the picture.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, get in this picture.
Thank you so very much. Okay. After that, if LaChauncey Staten would please come forward. After our employees put in lots and lots of years of good service like LaTarsha, eventually they grow up and leave us. After 30 years of service, it is my honor to read a resolution honoring LaChauncey Staten for his years of service with Pitt County government in the office of the Pitt County Sheriff. And it reads, whereas LaChauncey Staton was hired in the position of deputy within the domestic violence unit with the Pitt County Sheriff's Office in January 1997. And whereas LaChauncey Staton has faithfully served the citizens of Pitt County for 30 years and 5 months. And whereas LaChauncey Staton served in various roles within the Sheriff's Office, such as child support deputy, detention officer, court officer, county office deputy, and in 2012 decided to go back to where he started and became a domestic violence detective. And whereas LaChauncey Staton was appointed team leader of Pitt County Sheriff's Office Crisis Negotiation Team in 2018. And whereas LaChauncey Staton was promoted to sergeant of the Domestic Violence Unit and Victim Advocates in 2022. And whereas during his tenure, LaChauncey Staton received his Basic Law Enforcement Certificate, Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate, and Advanced Service Award. And whereas LaChauncey Staton is an instructor for the Lethality Assessment Program 2.0 and the Police Implicit Bias Program. And whereas LaChauncey Staton served as a member of the Pitt County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard for 10 years. And whereas LaChauncey Staton has served on many boards and commissions, such as the Pitt County Human Relations Commission, the Center for Family Violence Prevention Board, and served as Vice Chairman of the Greenville Police Athletic League Board. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pitt County Board of Commissioners does hereby express its gratitude and thanks to LaChauncey Staton for his career of dedicated and exemplary service to the people of Pitt County, and honors him with this resolution of appreciation given under our hand and seal of Pitt County, adopted this the 5th day of February 2024, signed by Chairman Mark C. Smith, attested by Kimberly Hines, clerk to the board. Mr. Chairman, if you will present that.
On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will move on to items for report, and first up is Dr. Gary Moore with the Bethel Youth Center.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity to say a few words about the Bethel Youth Center. This is my first opportunity to present to you, and I am indeed very, very pleased and privileged to have this opportunity. Some of you have been down to Bethel and visited with us, and we invite the rest of you to come and see what we're doing at the Bethel Youth Center. This is a remote learning center. It is an after-school center where kids come from all over Pitt County to enjoy and be nourished by our staff who work with them in tutoring, mentoring, counseling services, as well as special programs. The Bethel Youth Activity Center enjoys the collaboration with many other entities in Pitt County, especially Pitt County schools. Nothing pleased me more than to see the Pitt County school bus drive in front of the building and the kids come charging off there. They want to be there, and that's what makes me really, really proud of the work that we're doing. That is why we work hard to ensure that kids who live in low-wealth community have an opportunity to grow academically, to grow socially, and to have a leg up when it comes to being productive citizens. We're proud that we have on our rolls 128 students who have registered for various programs in our center. They don't all come at one time, and I'm grateful for that. We do have on average about 35 or 40 kids per day who come religiously. Our kids enjoy programs with reading is a primary focus for us, because we find that kids who can read can also succeed. And so we put a great deal of emphasis. One example is that we're in a bank building, the old Southern Bank building, and the old ABC building in Bethel. And the bank left the vault there, and it's too expensive to take out. So we asked the kids, what do you want to do with it? And so they decided to set it up as a library. So while they didn't leave us any capital to spend, we do have intellectual capital in the vault. And the kids enjoy reading every single day. That is mandatory for all of our children. We're very pleased that our center is also an active community partner. Members of the Bethel community and surrounding area come to us and they use our computers. They work with the staff on producing resumes. They use the copy machine, they use the fax machine, and we want to be a good community partner. So we are well embraced in the community. We have volunteers from the community who come over and work with the kids as well. We have a part-time staff of 7 with 1 full-time, and that's me. We have 2 military veterans, 3 if you count me, 2 certified teachers, 2 retired support staff, 1 bookkeeper and an accountant, and we have 2 or 3 interns almost every semester from East Carolina University. Our funding comes primarily from grants and gifts, and so I am constantly writing grants almost daily, but it's necessary because our kids are not charged a fee for our services. All of our programs and services are free for kids because we don't want them to not have the privilege of our programs and services because they can't afford to pay. So no kid pays a dime. So I have a lot to say, but I'll stop there because I know I only have a few minutes. And just again to say, please come visit us and we will take you on a tour. We will sit down, tell you a lot about what we're doing. We've been around since 2009. We've been in Bethel for the past 5 years. And so we're really, really pleased to be in Bethel. It is a wonderful community. I invite you to come and take part in what we're doing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Next item for report is the monthly financial report. Sam?
Good evening, Chairman Smith, Commissioners, Manager Gallagher. Tonight I bring you the December 2023 finance report for the General Fund, Solid Waste Fund, and the EMS Fund. We are 6 months into the fiscal year, or 50% of the year. The General Fund, we have collected 57.5% of anticipated revenues, and we have spent 44.9% of budgeted expenditures. For the Solid Waste Fund, we have collected 69.9% and spent 38.6%. For the EMS Fund, we have collected 67.3% and spent 50.2%. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, it's my recommendation for a motion to approve the monthly financial report as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Vote, please. Okay, thank you, Sam. We'll move on to the 23 tax collection report. Russell?
Good evening, Chairman Smith, Commissioners, Manager Gallagher. This evening I bring to you the December 2023 collection report. The Pitt County fiscal year to date, July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, combined collection rate for real and personal property was 83.94%. The combined rate 1 year ago for real and personal property was 83.09%. Pitt County Tax Administration continues to pursue all outstanding taxes using the necessary remedies available through the North Carolina General Statutes. If there are no questions, it's my recommendation to approve the December 2023 tax collection report as presented.
Move to approve.
A motion and a second. Cast your vote, please. Okay, thank you, Russell. I think you have the next item as well.
Yes, sir. For my next report, North Carolina General Statute 105-369A requires the tax collector to report to the Board of County Commissioners annually on the first Monday in February the total amount of unpaid taxes for the current fiscal year that are liens on real property. You were given an updated report with the data through February 1st, 2024 for Pitt County, the EMS district, and other special districts. It also includes data on the following municipalities: the town of Ayden, the town of Bethel, the town of Falkland, the town of Farmville, the city of Greenville, the town of Grimesland, and the village of Simpson. If there are no questions, it's my recommendation to approve the report of unpaid taxes for 2023 that are liens on real properties as presented.
Motion to approve is presented.
Got a motion, here second?
Second.
Okay, and second, cast your vote, please. And thank you, Russell, I think you have one more report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Emma. My next report is an update for the 2024 reappraisal. I know I've been giving the boards periodic updates. We are getting close to mailing out notices, and so I wanted to give the board one last final, not one last final, but an update before we mail those notices out to the public. Some of the key facts for the 2024 reappraisal: there were 79,685 appraisals completed by the staff. There are 1,083 market areas. The last reappraisal was January 1, 2020. Our current reappraisal effective date is January 1st, 2024. And our next reappraisal is scheduled 4 years and be effective January 1st, 2028. The objectives. So going into the project, our objectives was to create equity within the tax base between real, personal, and public service properties, to update all real property values to 100% of their market value or true value as of the effective date of the reappraisal, which is January 1st, 2024. And the general statutes, actually the General Assembly, they give us a definition for market value, and that's found in North Carolina General Statute 105-283. It's the price estimated in terms of money which the property would exchange hands between a willing and financially able buyer and a willing seller, neither being under any compulsion to buy or sell, having reasonable knowledge of all uses of the property is adapted and for which it is capable of being used. Our second objective, which we're about to go through, I think next week, we're going to notify the citizens of their new values, the week of February 12th. The objective 3 is to complete our informal review. So once we mail those notices, the citizens, the property owners have an opportunity to review their value that we send out, and then if they don't agree with their value, they have an opportunity to appeal that to us informally. If they don't want to appeal to us informally, they can appeal directly to our Board of Equalization and Review, but we do ask that they do come to us and let us look at it informally, because it can be an expedited process. And it also gives us the ability to, if it's something that we can see, we can go ahead and make those corrections in that process. And the Board of Equalization and Review process will start on April the 12th. Some of the statistics from the reappraisal. The current assessment ratio, it should fall somewhere between 99 and 100%. That's the report that we give to the state. I'm finalizing that report now. We'll be sending that off probably end of this week, and the state will give us the final results later this spring, around April. And so, for an example, if someone's, well, what does that mean? If a home sold for $200,000, then we would expect the 2024 value to be around $198,000 to $200,000. Some of the market conditions. The median sales price. In 2024, the median sales price in December was $260,000. Compare that to 2020, the median sales price was $165,000. That's an increase of roughly about 56.58%. And then on the right-hand side, we've got a breakdown of kind of the sales that took place and was processed by our office. As you can see, less than roughly less than 150,000. There was 368 sales, of roughly about 16.44%. Between 150 and 250,000, there was roughly 643 sales, which makes up 28.72%. between 250 to 350,000. There were 776 sales, roughly about 34.26%, and over 350,000, there was 461 sales, roughly about 20.59%, for total sales of 2,239. And then here's kind of a heat map of kind of the changes that we saw. As you can see, we've kind of broken this down in 10% increments, and roughly the majority of the properties, roughly about 38%, changed less than 40%, and over 40%, right around 62% of the county changed. So the next part is notifying and engaging the citizens. All that work that I covered was what we were covering over the last 2.5 years in our office. Now we're about to notify everyone kind of what those results of our process was. So once again, we're going to engage the citizens in the reappraisal process, notifying them by mail. New notices of value will be out in February 2024, hopefully next week. The Opus website will be unfrozen before, just because of the fact technology is a little bit quicker than the mail. So if someone's looking at Opus, sometime next week it'll probably start showing those values. And it's also to increase the accuracy in our tax listings. The levels of appeals. There's more levels than this. I'm just going to cover the local levels here. The first level that we do ask is the informal review process. That'll start next week. And that'll kind of run through April the 11th. Once the board Board Equalization and Review takes in, our office loses the authority to change any values. So we do ask on the notice to appeal within 30 days. After you receive that notice, and that's so we can get enough time to look at it, review it, and process it before we run out of time to change it in our office. The next level is the Board of Equalization and Review. They'll convene on April the 12th, and they'll adjourn May the 2nd. So if someone wants to timely file an appeal to the Board of Equalization and Review, they'll need to do that before their adjournment date of May the 2nd to be timely considered. Anyone that files an appeal with our office informally, but we run out of time possibly, we will go ahead. They don't have to file a secondary appeal with us. We'll go ahead and enroll that into a Board of Equalization and Review to kind of go ahead and expedite that process for the citizen as well. So they won't have to file a secondary one. If we've got it in the office, we're going to reserve their right. And the owner has, and if they disagree with the Board of Equalization and Review's decision, they have 30 days from the date of that notice to appeal to the North Carolina Property Tax Commission. That goes more on to the state level, and I'm not going to really cover that tonight. Appeal reasons. Tax assessed value is substantially more or less than the true market value. The statutes give us a lot of definitions. Unfortunately, they don't give us one for substantially. So our policy is we try to between 5 to 10% is somewhat acceptable. Depending on the neighborhood, if it's really homogeneous, we try to be closer to the 5%. If you live in a neighborhood or in a rural area where there could be, the sales are scarce, we may be a little bit more that we have to kind of look there, because these are estimates. And so for an example, if a home's true value is $200,000, that means, and if we use the 10%, the acceptable range would be somewhere between $180,000 to $220,000. Properties, or another appeal reason, their property is inconsistently valued with similar types of properties. And what that means is, if for some reason, when we mail notices, we did our initial work, if we have a value of maybe $220,000 on your house, and it's very similar to other four houses, and their value is at $180,000, that's an appealable reason. You could show those other houses and say, my value should be assessed like theirs. That's not assessed consistently with my neighbors. Invalid appeal reasons. The percent increase or decrease. The ability to pay the anticipated tax bill. We understand we don't know what the tax bill will be. However, on the back of the form that they receive in the office, it will cover 4 exemptions that the state does allow, which is our elderly, permanently elderly and permanently disabled for citizens. That means that they're over 65 or 100% disabled, and their income is under a certain level, they could get a 50% reduction on their value. If they already have it, it's already be in place with the reappraisal. They won't have to reapply. Another one, which is not as popular, is the circuit breaker. A lot of people don't like that one because it is a deferment on their taxes. So they don't want to leave that with their family. Our disabled veterans exclusion, if they were if a veteran was 100% disabled through a service-related injury, and they can make application, and they could get $45,000 off the taxable value. And then the other one is present use value. So if someone's farming and they meet the other qualifications, they could pay present use value versus the market value. Also, we do understand that any change in a tax bill could be detrimental to someone. The tax office also offer payment plans if anyone needs one, or they can make prepayments on their bill if they want to go ahead and start prepaying for 2024. The process for filing an appeal, completed appeal form. There'll be one mailed to them. They could just take off the bottom, include their supporting information, which includes comparable sales, assessments of similar properties, if it's an income producing property, income and expense statements. If it's an issue with the condition of a house, I've visited one, the gentleman kind of showed me the floor, and there was no floor in the house, or at least a good part of it. Those are things we do outside appraisals. Those are things, if those conditions lie, they can send that in with pictures to us. They can mail that appeal form into our office. They could drop it off, and we've created for the first time, hopefully it works good, with MIS's help, and online appeal form as well. So if it doesn't work, please let us know. We'll try to get that fixed as quick as possible, but it is the first time we're rolling that out. And some resources for the citizens. A lot of times we get questions, do I have to pay for an appraisal? So and the answer is no. If you don't have a fee appraisal, you don't have to pay that money for that. We have information out there we created a 2024 reappraisal webpage using our Opus website and using Compa for the Citizens. They should be able to find assessments and sales in their general area. If they have any trouble trying to navigate those, they can call us. The first week or so, it may be a little busy, be patient with us, but we will try to return all those calls to get that, to help you work through that process. Any questions?
I'd like to ask one.
Good.
I want a copy of your slides. It's in here. I was looking and I didn't find it.
So, Russell, just for clarification, the reappraisals are not on Opus yet, but they will be next week?
Sometime next week, yes, sir.
Okay.
You'll see those before, and if the board will give me just a few minutes, I can kind of walk through that process with the new Opus and how they can kind of navigate between Opus to the sales comps.
Okay.
I've got
Commissioner White?
2 questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hill, so on the new reappraisals when they go out, will there be instructions up there for people to know how to file for a reappraisal if they or how to file the appeal?
Yes, ma'am. So it'll be the form that if they have owned property for a very long time, we didn't change that form a whole lot. It'll be that same form. And unfortunately, just kind of creating the informal appeal form, I didn't think about that until too late. So that information is, I don't think, out there, but I think we did include the Opus website, which we'll kind of navigate through.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And my next question was for our county manager. I know when new budget season comes along, we will be looking at a revenue neutral approach, correct?
Yes, so by law, we will publish the revenue neutral tax rate. The rate doesn't have anything to do with the tax office. He'll get your values, and then this board sets the rate. We will let you know what the rate would be to bring in the same amount of money plus natural growth. And then the board can determine whether or not it wants to adopt that rate, some rate just above it, and how much of a tax decrease this board would like to consider for the next fiscal year.
Any other questions? Thank you,
Mr.
Russell.
Mr. Chairman, if I could say, before the meeting, Commissioner Colson asked if we would take a very short moment to demonstrate.
Yeah, I'd like to go through the OPUS, see what the thing is. If you use my property as an example if you want. Because when you look at the map, it looks like a shotgun. And you see all these little dots in there that are higher, and all these little dots are a lot lower, and these properties are adjacent to each other. So the question that I have is, how do they go about and evaluate one house being maybe a much higher percentage than the house right next to it?
So what Russell can demonstrate is how a citizen or anyone can go into OPUS. This is the Pitt County OPUS page. If he goes ahead on here and types in the parcel number or address, for example, for Mr. Colson's property,
30351.
it will bring up that property. And if he'll go into the top corner, he can show the aerial photography from 2020.
Well, I thought that was it, but
That's not the parcel.
No?
That may have been me typing. Let me,
Give your street address, you know that for certain.
That's, the address is 506 Eleanor. There it is.
There you go. So if you see that property, that's the 2020 aerial photography, and on the left side of the screen, Russell can scroll down, and it will show you its current value, which is the 2020 value, and then the value below that is what it was in the last reappraisal, the 2019 value. So that's how you can look, find your property, and see what your new value will be released next week and what your old value was. And I know this is small. If you go to the top of the screen, there's a section that says property record card. If you click on property record card, if you'll click on that, Russell, it will take you to a screen that shows all the particular information about your property. And then along the middle blue line, there's a dot there called Comper. If you hit Comper, you can click on that, and it will show you all the comparable sales that were used to determine your new value, right there in OPUS. So if you'll go back out, suppose you want to know what happened to everybody else on your street. What if Tom thinks, I think mine was valued higher or lower than my neighbor? Go ahead and click on parcel 30532. You can click right on it, and there's all the information for your neighbor. And you can go right down your street, and you can see how equitably and transparent everything is in this system. And so, not that we want to highlight his neighbor's property, so you can go right out of that, Russell, but this reappraisal process, a hallmark of it is transparency, so that every citizen has the ability on this public portal to click on their property by address, by name, or by parcel number, scroll through all the information, and look at everything else around you to see how those values were. And if you wonder, well, how come my neighbor's value wasn't as high as mine? You could look at things like the home square footage, the features of the home, the acreage of the home, the other comparables that were used to reach that number. And then if you have any questions, you can call the tax office.
Thank you. I thought that'd be a good time for everybody to be able to see this and be able to navigate it. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I'm sure someone out in the community would really needed it.
And if anybody tries and has trouble, call us. We're here to help.
Any other questions? Thank you, Russell. I know this has been I was going to say it's been a taxing process. But I decided better. I know there's a lot of hard work that went into this.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. And can I just take one moment and thank the tax administration staff as a whole? We've had to move people around, pull people from different departments to finish it. So, and LaTarsha was an example of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to Madam Manager, your report.
Yes, I have a few items for you this evening. Your next meeting dates, February 19th at 6 p.m. and March 4th at 6 p.m. in this room for regular meetings. Item B, your NACO Legislative Conference, for those who have signed up to attend, will take place February 10th to 13th in Washington, D.C. Those who are attending, I've connected with on our meetings while we are there. Item C, a reminder that on February 22nd at 8:30 in the morning until 10:30 is our joint meeting with the Pitt Community College Board of Trustees. It will be at the Eddie and Joe Allison Smith Center for Student Advancement on Warren Drive on campus. So that will be a continuation of an annual event, and we encourage everyone to attend. That's a regularly noticed joint board meeting. Item D is an update on Lake Glenwood. The emergency action plan was approved by the state. As indicated at your last meeting, we were pending that approval, and as a result, the property donation has been accepted. You'll see signage in the next few weeks. You'll see fencing around some of the more dangerous area of the dam, and with danger signs there. You will see a future site of the park with its plan on the corner of that property, and we are moving forward as directed by the board. Item E, I wanted to provide a quick update on the 2024 primary election. Just to remind everybody that your primary will be held on Tuesday, March 5th. Absentee ballots began being mailed out on Friday, January 19th for those needing an absentee ballot. You can request one, and then our early voting locations are on your screen. Early voting starts February 15th, and it will end February 25th. The hours of operation are on your screen Monday through Friday. There's 2 Saturdays and 1 Sunday at 5 locations throughout the county: the Pitt County Agricultural Center, Alice Keene Park on County Home Road, the county office complex, Pitt Area Transit Conference Room, the ECU Student Center on 501 East 10th Street, and the Winterville Fire Station Community Room. So encourage everyone to exercise their right to vote in the upcoming primary election. And then finally, I'd like Jason Randall to come forward with John Demery to be introduced to the board. Jason has recently been hired. Today is actually his first day as the Deputy Director of Solid Waste and Recycling and our Environmental Enforcement Officer. Jason comes to us from James Madison University in Virginia with a long history in law enforcement as his background, and will be a wonderful partner with John Demery as we continue to address solid waste and littering issues.
Is he going to cheer for Pirates when?
It's
I'm
still
trying
his
to
first
get him to. He's a Michigan State man, so.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to working with you.
Welcome, Jason.
Welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's all that I have.
Thank you, Madam Manager.
He's moved here already?
Yes, and his
He
wife
gets-
is in the audience as well.
Well, let's see what she looked like.
Let's see what she looks like. Right there
Of
in
course,
the-
I can't see that far anyway.
in the red jacket, and they
Glad to have you both.
are residing here in Pitt County, and we are thrilled to have both of them. Welcome aboard.
Okay, next up is item for consent. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. If you would, please cast your vote. Thank you. We'll move on to items for decision, and I'll invite Sheriff Dance up for the reclassification of certified personnel.
Yes, and she can stand. We're going to present this one together, and I don't mind if you want to stay there, and you're welcome to answer any questions if they arise. Sheriff, this evening, members of the board, I am pleased to present a proposal that was developed jointly between myself and the sheriff and each of our wonderful teams to address a long-standing issue that the sheriff has brought before this board relating to the compensation of law enforcement personnel. And in your packet, you will see a proposal, which is more detailed than I will go into today.
What page is it?
It is on page 105. I'll give you a minute to get there. And what we have discussed after analyzing salaries and recent changes, particularly in our local community with regard to the city of Greenville and Winterville, that the sheriff's office salaries fell below those municipal counterparts. I believe that this is a result of the market, right? This is an economic impact when you look at the supply and demand for officers in today's world. And so after much discussion,
the sheriff has agreed to relinquish 4 vacant positions in order to create current revenue to allow for a 2-grade adjustment for all certified law enforcement personnel. That would result in an increase, if you are at step 1 in the grade, of 9.6% up 2 grades, and if you are higher than step 8, it will be somewhere closer to 4.8% of an increase, depending on where you are on the pay scale as it is. We request that this be effective the next pay period, which is February 18th, that the relinquished positions will cover a good portion of the cost for the remainder of this fiscal year, but it won't cover all of it. If there is a shortfall in actual expenditures to revenues within the sheriff's budget, that will fill in the gap, and if not, I'll come to you before June 30th requesting a budget amendment from the general fund. It has been a pleasure to work with the sheriff on crafting this solution. She and her business officer, Molly Plunt, are available for any questions, and I would recommend approval by the board.
I move to recommend.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Have a motion and a second.
I'd like to say, I feel good that the teamwork of our manager and the sheriff has been fruitful. It put a smile on our face.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Sheriff Dance. We appreciate all you and your officers do each day. Okay, we'll move on to second item for decision, Farmers Market Update Advisory Committee membership. Mr. Rhodes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. You've heard a little preview already from some of the public comments tonight, so I'm here to share with you a number of the planned improvements, and I do want to acknowledge I've got P.J. Andrews as well as Hannah Smith in the audience. They've been instrumental in bringing a lot of these improvements to light, and certainly with the support of your manager. Also, we'll talk a little bit and share with you the 2024 market calendar and how we came to that point. And then finally, getting to the action item that's recommended tonight is a proposal to expand the advisory committee's membership. So, first up, planned improvements. They are a lot, and they're well needed. If you've been out to the farmer's market, there were a number of things that needed some attention. First and foremost, safety. Issues with accessibility, issues with cleanliness. We're addressing those, we're taking those seriously. The structure itself needed some attention, and I'll show you some before. I hate to show those, the before shots, and some of the ones that are kind of in progress now. So ADA compliance, those that are disabled, we want to ensure that they can get into the market safely and go about buying their products there. So there is improved accessibility at the main entrances, a deep cleaning. It's been a while since this place has been cleaned up from top to bottom. The roof needed some serious attention as well, and painting. New furniture, we're going to have a uniform looking display, and the county is providing the tables versus some of these other concerns that we had with some of the displays, some that actually had glass that we felt, again, may be unsafe. Office security, number of reasons why that needs to be tightened up. Some digital displays for a number of things. Landscaping, just making it more inviting. And if approved by this board during the budget season, looking at paving the parking lot. And I have witnessed some incidents out in the parking lot, again, with folks that might be physically challenged to get from their vehicle into the building. So that is some of the other future improvements. So let's look at some of the before shots. One of the main concerns, we did need to do some roof work. And with the roof work was the ceiling work. And if you can look closely here in the left photo, you can see we had insulation that needed to be taken down and repaired. When we're offering food products and vegetables, that was a problem. So you'll see some nice after shots on that. just cleaning up, and you can see that is dirt and grime on some. We have more than 24 garage doors out there. They get dirty quickly. Those are on the way of being cleaned up. So first up, the roof. The roof had a few leaks, did a lot of caulking, got a new fresh coat up top, so that is a tremendous boon. We also changed out those ceiling tiles, those translucent ceiling tiles, let a little bit more light in, and also a fresher look. That's outside. Inside, power washing, head to toe, and you can see also here, look at the roof, or the ceiling, I should say. That's been cleaned up. Our buildings and grounds guys have done a yeoman's job in getting that insulation down and getting it so it won't continue to fall down. Other things, the office, nice new customer service desk of sorts, and this is going to be the display. These are uniform tables provided by the county that can be easily moved in and out, and the individual vendors will have an opportunity to put those in certain display diagrams as they see fit. So that's just one example of how it can be set up. The accessibility, each one of those vendor booths will be marked and where they should be, and those yellow lines you can see are where people will have access, better access to the product that's for sale there, and making sure that we've got marked places where people can easily get in and out. Nice new no-touch water display as well. Okay, so those are the planned improvements. A lot are underway. The majority of those will be completed before the opening day of the market, which leads us right to the market calendar. Still a lot of work to be completed. We're just almost 6 weeks from opening day on March 16th. We'll have a big kickoff celebration that day. There are some other special events held throughout the year, but this is right now, Saturday only market. And it's a number of reasons for that. We've been collecting data over the last couple of years while county staff has been more actively involved with the market. And the Fridays, with the limited number of vendors and customers, again, and pairing Friday and Saturday, you heard a lot of discussion about spreading that time frame out. Friday and Saturday paired together really won't get you there. That's why in the past we've talked about possibly a Tuesday market versus a Friday market if there is an extra day added. So right now, all Saturdays starting March 16th all the way through the end of the year, except for special Thanksgiving time where we actually open the Wednesday before Thanksgiving versus the Saturday after. We will, and you've heard the manager has agreed, we'll continue to review this, and if we see it warranted that an extra day be added sometime during the major peak season, that will be considered. But right now, Saturdays only, every Saturday.
How many hours?
It opens bright and early at 8 o'clock and goes on till 2 o'clock. I never get out till 2, 1 o'clock. So plenty of time, and again, a lot of folks are there early for the best and freshest, and by noontime, it's starting to trickle down pretty easily.
So how do you handle the time juggling? What is it? When we get up earlier than we do go to bed, it's daylight saving time.
We don't change because of that.
You don't?
It will already have changed before the market opens. It changes in early March. So that's not an issue here. We keep our same times.
I like my vegetables fresh.
Good questions. So, as we've been trying to get the information out, making sure that people are aware, we did have a press pass opportunity out at the market. Some good input that day, getting more information out. And we do have a website that provides all the information as well. And we are actively recruiting vendors. If someone out there that's looking in tonight, these application packets are online 2 weeks before the deadline of February 19th to get those vendor packets in. No money required with your application, because we're going to review the applications to make sure that people that are applying meet the policies. You adopted new policies last year. There are certain policies that we're making sure that are going to be enforced as to whether you're growing the vegetables yourself, whether you live within a certain proximity to Pitt County, those sorts of things. So that will all be vetted during the review process. Finally, to our membership on our advisory committee, we're asking tonight, and our advisory committee has already reviewed this and is in support of this expansion, going from 5 members to 7 members. Still, the majority would be agricultural vendors. 4 of the 7, 3 would be at-large members. They don't have to necessarily be vendors. They can be craft vendors, or they could be people that frequent the market and are just interested in the operations there. So all these still follow your standard appointment processes through our clerk to the board, those applications being brought to you for consideration. So with that, Mr. Chairman, our recommendation is to expand the advisory committee's membership, 4 active agricultural vendors and 3 at-large members. I welcome any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have one question again.
Okay.
Is it gonna be staggered, the membership?
Yes,
You
they
know,
already are.
So
We've
that
got-
you don't have a bunch of new people with it.
Well, your first time will have 4 new people because we've got 2 coming off. And if you go with this tonight, we'll have 2 extras.
All
So
right.
that will be 4 extras coming on at one time.
Commissioner Colson?
So I guess I would be interested in what mechanism or logic is going to be corralled in order to be able to determine, does it go to 2 days a week? Do we extend hours on Saturday? Does it go 5 days a week? What, how are you gonna do that?
So I think a couple of things will need to be at play, and I think these were outcomes from my meetings with some of the vendors over the last week. One of the things the vendors wanted to see was more communication from the vendors to county staff in a more formalized fashion, and potentially in a portal of sorts, right? So that we could communicate with each other more frequently. They wanted to have a broader perspective on the advisory board, and they wanted to have some say in who was on that advisory board in the form of a recommendation from the vendors to the advisory board, to the Board of Commissioners, all of which I think we can move forward and work on
I think
beginning
we
immediately.
just voted on that, did we not? I'm talking
Well,
about the
How do we know if
hours.
there's an additional day?
Yeah.
I think if we have improved communication, once you have your vendors in the market, we can determine how many of those vendors would have an interest in coming back, once you have approved vendors, on a second day or a third day, and what day that ought to be. And I think we have to keep the lines of communication open and check it periodically and see how things are going. I don't think if there's there's only one vendor, for example, who says, I'm willing to commit to come on a Friday or a Tuesday, I'm not sure that that would be enough to change practice. But if you had a good number of vendors, of those who are approved to serve, who would want to come on an alternate day, I think we give it a shot and we see what impact it has on the market.
But if you want to drive traffic, you're not addressing driving traffic. If you keep your hours low, let's say somebody wanted to go on a Saturday afternoon and they get there and oops, it's closed. I've done that in the past a couple of times. I didn't really know the hours. I didn't stop in to actually see any signage as far as what it was, and I said, oh, the heck with it, I'll just go to the grocery store. So I don't go there. And I know it's a valuable thing to the community.
Yes.
I just think it could be more valuable if you open up the hours to more availability. you'll never get more people if you don't have the window of time to meet them. And that means you might have a loss on the front end. Until you start to grow and people start to understand when is it open, when is it available, and so on.
Is there signage for
And I
that?
think there is signage, and I think the other piece of it is consistency, right? So folks might want to know, they want to go to Winterville on Thursdays, they might want to go to the county on Saturdays, they might want to go to Greenville when they used to have an umbrella market on Wednesdays. And when there's consistency and folks know who's going to be there and when, if you were to show up to the farmer's market on a Friday, on a day when they happen to have 2 vendors, or on a real anomaly, the one day they had no vendors show up on a Friday, that's not going to drive business and attract people to your market. They want to see a thriving market full of vendors, full of fresh produce and crafts that have come from this area, and that will build that customer base. And as that continues to build and we continue to grow upon that integrity, I think the market will expand. I think it's going to take time, and it's going to take communication and good feedback from the vendors and a broader advisory board.
Commissioner White?
In looking over the number of vendors that were there on Friday, James, I got to ask you one question because you're getting ready to retire. There was, on an average throughout the past few years, there was just a handful of vendors every Friday, correct?
It was, and it really, and besides that, as it got past October, it really trickled down, averaging then 3 or 4 vendors on a Friday. During the peak season, you might get 6, 7, sometimes 8 at the very peak. But not all those are growers. Again, a fair amount of those were other vendors besides growers.
Okay, Commissioner McGlowan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So one of the concerns, James, as I hear, right now it's 1 day per week, but that's not in stone based upon the committee and the frequent of people coming in. It could expand, and I think that's a concern that I've been hearing. How will it be expanding? Because some want more days, and so the answer to that would depend on the amount of people going there, and also based upon the committee in terms of their interpretation, their discussion, and their recommendation.
Yeah, and again, this is an advisory board that brings information back to staff and to this board as far as policies and other things. So anytime we've got a vendors meeting coming up in March, we'll get plenty of feedback there. We have another quarterly meeting in April. So I think gathering information from those 2 upcoming meetings might well help us decide where we go in the peak season, which will probably be towards the end of April, May, June.
Commissioner Donnelly?
And I guess I'd maybe echo some of the points raised by Commissioner Colson. My concern is really primarily when we have agricultural goods that will be put in the ground, decided to be put in the ground, and brought to market during that time period, which is traditional in eastern North Carolina, actually throughout North Carolina, and really a want to I hear that everyone wants a vibrant market. What I'm concerned about is if we do not have an open floor, and I don't know when we went to so few days, but I think that just as any business like a restaurant, when things start to struggle and you're only open a couple of days a week, well then members of the community no longer see it as a viable option to go purchase their wares. And so I'm not a market analyst and I don't pretend to be, but anecdotally, 1 or 2 days a week is not enough to drive customers to a market when people shop for fresh goods when they're able to. I think that what I would like to see is how not only our own market, because we've got a limited market. I don't think our farmers market, at least in my view, has been as vibrant as I think it could be historically. what's a larger market doing, and say what's a Raleigh's farmers market doing? What's New Bern's farmers market doing, which is a smaller community than ours, but also has a very vibrant market. How many days a week are they open? Do we have a more open floor policy? I think these are all really important questions, but what I'm concerned about is if we take a really narrow approach on the front end, 1 or 2 days to me just doesn't seem like enough to even make it a viable option for members of the community that are looking for a fresh shopping option. And so if I'm a planter and I'm looking at where am I going to sell, I mean, I don't know, and I'm just raising questions, devil's advocate here, but are we looking at it and saying, well, this vendor is going to jump around to all of the other local markets on a Wednesday? The umbrella market's kind of defunct in Greenville now, right? That doesn't exist in the way that it did. But are we going to require vendors to jump, or are we going to do we want to have an open market Tuesday through Saturday where folks can go buy their vegetables fresh? Maybe it's not busy some days, but restaurants are open. They're sometimes busy, sometimes they're not. What's the cost to the county to have a more open floor policy when it comes to produce? These are just questions, and I'm sure the advisory committee will hopefully be able to answer them. But what I am concerned about is if we're looking at a market, but our market's already so narrow, I'm worried that we're not even going to get a sample size to be able to make a reasonable decision about how many days we need to add. That's my concern.
Commissioner Nunley, we have looked at the markets in our general area. We feel like we're very comparable to the one in Nash County. That is not a year-round market, nor does it offer much more time than we're looking at here. We are pretty much mimicking their schedule. There are nuances with each market. There are some regional markets, even in smaller, I'll say, market areas, because they, just if they were doing real local, they couldn't really support themselves. So all said, we've looked at these other markets. We think the model that we're starting with, we're pushing a reset button, starting with seeing what is needed. Saturdays are known here. People go to the market on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
What other days might need to be interjected? I don't think Fridays work well. I've witnessed Fridays. They haven't over the last 2 years. Does a Tuesday work better? Possibly. Maybe even different hours, maybe later in the afternoon.
There you go.
So
right
those are the type things that we're considering, but there's got to be a commitment by the vendors that they're going to be there too.
It's
So that's
not like
another
a restaurant
component.
where you wonder whether a customer's going to come. If a customer walks into a restaurant and there's nobody there to serve them food, it's not going to be a good experience even if the building's open.
And I think I guess the cycle that I'm concerned about is that a customer is not going to walk through the doors of the market if we're not going to have vendors there. And my concern too, if we're limited to 1 day a week, we're immediately cutting out, the weekday shopper. So, and I'm not saying I have the answers. I think they're all worthwhile questions. I just hope that whoever's making these decisions ultimately, that we are really mindful of not just looking at the top of it, but like really taking into account what the effect of what our initial control might have on how we're building it out. That's my comment.
I have one statement.
Yes, ma'am.
I only like to pick my vegetables in the afternoon. I finish working, and when I go home, I clean them and they go in the pot. Early morning just doesn't work for me. And every time I've been to the farmer market, it's in the afternoon. So that means I gotta find some ways to get my vegetables from. Even in Aden, they have a big market outside of Aden, south of Aden. That's a Wednesday, and it's crowded.
Commissioner Floyd Huggins.
Okay, that's not a farmer market. What is that? That's a.
It's farmer market too, because they pick their stuff and bring it in. I go a lot. There are some people that only go to Aden.
Oh, okay. I do visit the farmers market, and I visit on Saturdays. Is when I go, and that's when I see a lot of people.
You go early?
Yeah. I'm an early person. So, And I'm willing to let the staff and the committee work on this and come up with with a workable solution. So right now it seems to be, if we start out as Chris says, one, it seems to be narrow, but it is a starting point. And then, but we are not saying that we're not going to look at expanding, an opportunity to expand. So I'm willing to let you all look at that and come back if we need to expand, get vendors to commit. And like I say, I do visit that market on Saturdays quite often.
So thank you for the update. You just need a vote on expanding the membership of the committee tonight.
Correct.
And we'll be monitoring this over the next couple of months.
Absolutely.
Great. I entertain a motion for
So
that.
moved.
Got a
Second.
motion and a second. If you would, let's vote, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Okay, we'll move on to commissioner comments. I'll start down at the left. Commissioner
None.
Colson.
None.
Commissioner Floyd Huggins.
No comments.
Commissioner
No
White.
comment.
Commissioner McGlaughlin.
No comment.
Commissioner
Comment.
Boyd, no comments. Commissioner Ward.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Nunley.
No comment.
Well, nobody has any comments
I
tonight.
have something to say.
Okay, well,
Motion that
had
we
the
adjourn.
baby.
that's a good motion. I got a motion to adjourn
Second.
in a second. Thank you for being here this evening.
Oh, no, no.